Hello, and welcome back to the podcast where you are invited for lighthearted conversations about things that matter as you seek to live your most meaningful, beautiful, and joyful life. I'm your host, Dr. Edie Wadsworth, and I hope you enjoy your stay here at the House of Joy. Good morning, everyone. We are celebrating 200 episodes of the podcast.
Woo-hoo!
Welcome to the House of Joy.
200th episode today.
Listen, you guys, if you don't watch us on YouTube, we literally are in our House of Joy. We record this in my house, and I call it the House of Joy.
Oh, that's amazing.
It's amazing. Hi, Em.
Hi.
How fun is it to record first thing in the morning? Are you feeling
I know. We woke up, got ready, and are here. I don't know if you can tell. I have my cowboy necklace on.
I love your cowboy necklace. I love it.
And I wanted to start out just to put the mood on.
Yeah.
With a little funny story really quickly.
Okay,
Because
I'm scared.
We've been here since
A few days.
Yeah, a couple days. And last night we sat on the porch for a little while and we were just planning some things and just having fun.
Working, having fun.
And I took a shower last night and
I know what you're going to say.
I was washing my hair and I was just washing my hair and I feel something and I was like, oh my gosh, because I thought it was a bug.
I know what it was.
And I swat my head. You know when you feel like you have a bug on your head? And I was swatting my head. I was freaking out. My heart was racing. It was Mom's eyelash.
I took my strip eyelashes off
Last
and
night?
I set them on that little couch. And then when you came to sit beside me, I thought of it in the middle of the night. I'm like, oh my gosh, is Emmy going to end up with my eyelashes in her hair?
Well, I ended up with both in my head because then I was like, that was so crazy and disgusting. And I cannot wait to tell Mom about that. And then I was at the end of my shower and another one was in my hair. I was like, well, first of all, they look so much like spiders.
Yes, they do.
And anyway,
so you're welcome.
There's one on the side of the bath if you want to go look at it.
That is the absolute best way to celebrate 200
200
episodes.
Let's
200
go.
episodes of eyelashes that give me so much joy.
I was telling Haddon last night, and he was like, does she just strip them and just throw them? I was like, I guess. I don't know. I didn't see her do it. But it was in my hair, so.
Also, by the way, what we were doing on the porch is giving the House of Joy cover art a little refresh.
Yes.
So go check it out. It's beautiful and colorful. It really does look like a House of Joy now. So
I know. It needed a refresh. It needed to have the Edie sparkle as well.
It did.
I felt like it didn't look like you.
I feel like it didn't either. Which brings us to the point that we want to talk about today, y'all, which is I love helping women wake up to their lives, wake up to their dreams. I know so often that just people in life in general, your age, my age, feel like, gosh, I have this thing, this nudging, this calling, this thing I love to do, this thing that's a huge part of me that I'm not expressing. And so today we're going to talk about that. Are you living the fullest expression of your gifts? Have you had the courage to put your work, whatever that is, out in the world, to do the thing that your heart calls you to do? And as we celebrate 200 episodes of the podcast, I think about the crazy amount of, insanity, courage that it takes to create something even as simple as a podcast.
Yeah.
And to keep it going for as long as this podcast has been going. And I read a book. I was flying home from Minnesota this past weekend, and I read a book that I've read before by Liz Gilbert called Big Magic. And there's several parts in it that I want to share and read today as we talk about this. But I also and we talked about this last night, I was also thinking about this as it relates to you. You're now almost 6 months into your new journey of, recreating this podcast and totally changing the trajectory of your life for a little bit. And that took a lot of courage. So I want to hear from you on like, how's that going? Do you have regrets? Do you miss your 9 to 5? And, you know, I think I've made a lot of changes in my life like this, like when I gave up my medical practice, and then when I started homeschooling you guys, and then when I decided to do the Young Living business, and then I decided to write a book, and then I decided to start a coaching practice and start a podcast. Like so many things that I felt like have helped me live really the fullest expression of the gifts God has given me in the world. Now, you're a lot earlier on in that journey, so it'll be fun to hear both perspectives. But that's what we want to talk about today, because we know that you, inside of you, are so many hidden gems, so many hidden talents and desires and dreams. And we really do want to help you uncover those today and maybe spark your creativity again, spark your desire for the thing that you've felt this nudging for, so that you can really begin to live into the fullest expression of your own gifts.
Yes,
so,
love
welcome
it.
to House of Joy, everyone.
Welcome.
We're so glad you're here. Okay, so I want an update from you, Miss M. So we are on 200 episodes of the podcast. I think you've been here for 40, 30, 40, something.
I think it's been 40 because I think we started at 160.
That's amazing.
I know. That's actually
a fourth of the life of the podcast almost.
I know. Yeah, I have been, you know, it's just interesting because at the time that we started in January, it was so, like, there was so much to do. We didn't really know how it would go. We just kind of were on the fly about it. You know how you do. Like, a month later, we're starting and you're making decisions. And I didn't really know what I was getting into. But at that point, it's like there was just so much to do. And there was no, like, second thought to think, okay, what am I doing?
Yeah.
I have noticed lately that, like, my brain is trying to feed me lies, where now that I've been out of an actual 9 to 5, it's easy to not give yourself credit. And especially, and I give you so much credit because I don't know how you, and I know our brains are different in that way, but going from, like, one of the quote unquote best jobs that you can have, like being a doctor, to doing something no one really understands and no one really at that time especially, like, qualifies as, like, a job. Right. I have been struggling with convinced or just feeling like I'm doing enough, or if I'm doing, I don't know. I've gotten to a point where I'm definitely, like, comparing myself because it looks so different every day. Yeah. And I do have a different schedule than most people. Yeah. But also on the flip side of that, because of that, like, jump that I took and just decided to take with you, I've had so much more ability to, like, come here, do certain things, work wherever I need to work. Yeah.
And I'm curious, do you feel like it has allowed you to express more of who you are?
Yes, for sure. I actually feel like, and a lot of things have led into this, but I feel like I have become more and more myself throughout this process. Yeah. Just in my actual life too. Yeah. I don't think I realized, and I've talked about this a lot, but I did not realize what that job was doing to me when I got home. I feel like at work,
you did great.
I was like, you know, I was myself. Yeah. To an extent that you can be when you're working as a medical assistant. Like, but when I would come home, I was even talking to Katie, like, I would literally get home and have no energy for anyone else and just go to bed, basically. Like, every night I would or if I didn't go to bed, I would go sit in my room because I just, like, literally needed to decompress. I feel like I was thinking about this today because I've been traveling a lot, like, going back and forth. I haven't been home all that much just from, like,
Maysember is real.
Yes. And I felt I feel like I have so much more energy to do those things, and it doesn't feel like I can still bring my full self even though my situation is different.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's amazing. Like, it's amazing, but I have noticed that I want to get to the point where I can just quiet those thoughts of...
And I don't even know if it's a matter of quieting the thoughts. I think it's a matter of listening to your brain and going, oh, interesting. Liz Gilbert talks about that in her book, because we often, with that thing that we feel this calling to do, there comes a lot of fear and judgment, self-judgment, criticism. Like in every creative endeavor that I've ever done, there's always the voice in your head that's like, nobody cares. You don't have what it takes. You're not good enough. What are people going to think?
Yeah.
Like all of that, right? And I love how Liz Gilbert talks about it in this book, Big Magic. By the way, if you are a type of person who wants to live some creative life, who wants to have some endeavor, even if it's not your job, if it's just, on the side, you want to write a book, or on the side, you want to start a business, or on the side, you want to do whatever. This book, actually, I think this book is good for everybody, but she talks about how we often wait until we're not afraid to do it. And she has this part in the book where she talks about, no, I just have a conversation with my fear.
Yeah.
I just have a conversation with that critical, fearful part of me. And I say, look, for me, it would be, look, me and my coaching business are going to go on this journey together. Or me and this book that I'm writing, we're going to go on this journey together. And you're welcome to go. I respect you. You can have a voice. You can tell us your concerns. But you have to sit in the back seat. You can't choose the radio station. And I get to make the ultimate decision.
Yeah, that's funny.
So your critical voice, your fearful voice is always going to be with you. But you can put it in its place. You can say, I hear you. I know you're trying to take care of me. However, we're going to do this thing. And I love thinking of it like that instead of feeling like, everything has to be perfect. Because I know you struggle with perfectionism.
I think that is the biggest thing that I don't know. It's not perfectionism. And I've talked to you about this. It's not like perfectionism in, like any specific outcome or like organization, or any like outward perfectionism. I don't really care as much about that, but in my head there are these like rules, or it's so hard for me to not think outside of this, like what I think something should be.
Yes.
And
it rarely looks like what you think it was going to look like.
Yes, and that's the hardest part. I think that the great thing about doing this job is I have so much more room for myself to experience all of these emotions. And I will say, like, the majority of it, like, being able to just hang out and see you more and just see your world more is a blessing, and it's amazing, but it's caused me to, like, really overthink what I'm actually doing.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense, but actually when Ellie came, I don't know why it brought up this, like, because she's doing such different things.
Yes.
And she's, like, fully pursuing this passion that she has had for years.
Yep.
And so I think it's like when you look at it like that, I guess it's easy for me to get in my head like, this is not something that I've like, I don't know. It just
wasn't
easy.
my dream.
Yes.
Yeah. And good to know, because then you can decide as you go along, like, okay, that was a good stepping stone to maybe what I want to do. I think you listen to that. I don't think you try to go pretend you don't feel that way. You know what I mean? Like, you listen to that and say, oh, what's the wisdom here for me in that? Because also being a medical assistant working 9 to 5 wasn't your dream either.
No.
So
most definitely not.
Yeah. And so it's all a stepping stone. And if I look back, for instance, at my medical career, I'm so glad I did it. It was a stepping stone. It was an important stepping stone into the evolution of my life. So yeah, it doesn't have to be the end all be all.
I do look back too, and I'm like, I could easily get another job that like in my brain feels more like, I don't know what the word is, but I could easily even get that job. I look back at that job and I know in my heart that I still felt like, oh, this is definitely not.
This is not what I thought.
Definitely not what I
my
thought.
life was going to be.
Yes. Yeah. So it's not the actual job. I think I just struggle with that in my mind a lot where.
But I think also, here's the thing, and this is for everybody. If you are waiting for that thing to fulfill you to whatever, you're doing it in the wrong order. Mm-hmm. You're the one that brings meaning to it. You're the one that does it with joy and enjoyment and love and passion. And so wherever you find yourself, whatever you're doing, you can think about that thing in such a way that you can enjoy it more, that you can see the purpose in it, that you can bring more to it. Like that you could do that job in a way that nobody else could do the job. And I love thinking about it that way because obviously we all can't just go change our jobs tomorrow.
Yes.
But you can do what you're doing with more joy and passion.
Yes.
And I think that will help you to find the next piece and to go, oh, this thing is never going to bring that for me. Like even if you're following your creative passions and you say, oh, I've always wanted to write a book. Well, if having a written book at the end is your only goal instead of, no, what is the kind of person that I want to be on the journey?
Yes.
And what is the kind of work that I want to do, on the journey? I think that's way more important. But, when she's talking about, the fear, she basically is saying, she's saying to this critical voice in her head, you're allowed to have a seat, you're allowed to have a voice, but you're not allowed to vote, and you can't touch the road maps, and you're not allowed to fiddle with the temperature, and you can't touch the radio. So you're putting your critical voice kind of back in its place, right? And she says, it isn't always comfortable or easy to carry your fear or that critical voice around with you on your great and ambitious journey, but it's always worth it. Because you can't learn to travel comfortably alongside your fear. If you can't learn to travel comfortably alongside your fear or that voice, you won't go anywhere interesting or do anything interesting. And she says, and you have treasures hidden within you, extraordinary treasures. And so do I. And so does everyone around us. And bringing those treasures to light takes work and faith and focus and courage and hours of devotion. And the clock is ticking. And the world is spinning, and we simply do not have time anymore to think so small.
I do love that because I do think that what this job has brought out that no other job has is that courage within myself.
Yep.
Knowing that you're putting yourself out there in a way that is different than what you have before.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's the hardest about it is trusting that. And of course, I don't want it to sound like I'm just so negative about it.
Yeah.
I'm really not.
Yeah.
But that courage aspect makes it harder than other things that I've done.
Yes.
In a way.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of the point, is to learn how to be courageous in your life, to learn how to take risk, to learn how to step out and fight for what you do want. Because I love that you said, I love what I'm doing. It wasn't ever my dream. So then are you courageous enough to say, well, what is my dream? What is calling to me? What is calling to me so much that it's worth the discomfort, the fear, the criticism of other people not understanding. I'm sure you struggle a little bit with that. Like, you get done with college and somebody asks you what you do and you go, well,
so I run a podcast
with my mom.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't sound very exciting. When people ask me what I do, people have no idea what I do.
Yeah.
And like Tom said the other day, it was so funny. He goes, you don't even have a real job. And I'm like, so interesting, his perspective, because what he sees me do is be his mom.
Yeah. And
go rock hiking with him and go play on the lake.
He's
no
not
clue. Here when he sees the grind and the work and the devotion and the love and the care, you know, that I put into what I do and nobody else does. And that's the thing. Like you have to be able to say, no, I love how I do what I do.
Yes.
And it's kind of like this journey within yourself. Like, can you live your life in a way, no matter what you're doing, that you love how you do what you do? You love how you show up to your life. You love how you show up to your work. And you don't need everybody else to understand it, to get it, to respect it, because you get it and you respect it, and you respect the way that you show up to your dreams, and you respect the way that you listen to that intuition or that nudging that's calling you, you know, to do something.
And I think it has been a lesson for me that you kind of just have to learn. And I've had to learn the hard way, and I've struggled with this my whole life. And everyone kind of does, where the anticipation of something or what you think something is.
It's never what it is.
It's never what it is. And you do have to learn to make what you want out of where you are either way.
Yes.
And now I'm in this position that 6 months ago, looking at where I am now, I would have been like, girl, you have nothing to complain about. Like, actually, you get to do this amazing thing.
Yeah.
But you find those little things in whatever, even if you're in the midst of something amazing, you can still find little ways to make it seem.
And don't even make yourself wrong for that. That's your brain's job.
Yeah.
Your brain's job is to find everything that could be wrong.
Yeah.
Everything that could be scary. That's what I'm saying. You're never going to get rid of that voice, but you can put that voice kind of in its place, in the back seat, and you can decide, no, this is how I approach my life. And I will give you a great example, because we've been talking about this a lot, because you've had lots of friends getting engaged. We had one of our kids just get engaged. And so I always think about this when I'm thinking about marriage. If you could tell your children like what they are in for, because when you're about to get married, all you can think about is how amazing it's going to be, and you're going to finally be with this person that you love, and it's going to be so. And what you don't realize is, like, yes to all of that, and also this is going to be the most challenging, difficult, amazing, heartbreaking, loving journey of your whole entire life. And if you don't go into that knowing how you want to be, how you want to show up, then you're going to put expectations on that relationship that are unrealistic.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, well, this person's going to do this for me. No, how am I going to show up to my life, to this relationship, so that it's fulfilling and meaningful and impactful for me, not expecting that the other person, I hate when people say this, like, oh, he completes me. Like, if that's what we're expecting, we're going to be disappointed.
Yeah. I do wonder whenever you started, because I think it's easy for even me. It's like, she seriously just does not care. And it seems like it comes so easy to you to, like, separate yourself from that part of your brain. Like, when you started life coaching, or when you decided, okay, I'm gonna pursue this, did you have that fear of?
I did have that fear, and I had that natural fear because people back then, that was 5 or 6 years ago, so that people did not understand it.
What it was at all.
But I had such a powerful transformation. This is what I'm saying about that nudging, that calling, that dream. I had such a powerful awakening, transformation, like I couldn't not do it.
Yeah.
And I think we all have something in us like that calls to us, and you'll learn that as you go. I don't think you wake up at age 22 or 23 and instantly know that. I think the more you are willing to be real with yourself, the more you are willing to, ask yourself, like, what is the desire of my heart? What has God called me to do? What do I feel this pull toward that would be worth the discomfort of other people not understanding, or the fear of being misunderstood? So you have to ask yourself, what am I called to so much? What do I love so much that it's worth that? Oh my gosh. Okay, we're back. If it sounds like we just had an abrupt change, it's because we did. You guys, we had a real human moment.
We did.
Emme kind of had a breakdown.
I didn't kind of have a breakdown. I fully had an hour breakdown. So thank you for putting it like that, lightly and so sweetly.
Yes. And it led to all of us having a breakdown
Yeah.
and crying and having such a beautiful human moment together. And I almost wish in a way we had just recorded the last hour because
I know.
it truly was beautiful.
It was a great learning experience personally for me. And I think it would have been really good for y'all to hear, but we'll give
give you the
spark
highlights.
notes.
We'll give you the spark notes. So, I think this topic, it's kind of funny because the topic of like really opening
Taking
up to your
risks.
dreams, taking risk,
Going
doing your
for
work in
it.
the world, making your impact. Emmy kind of had a breakdown because she's like, I want that,
Yes. And
but
I feel like I've taken many more a step to get closer to that feeling like, okay, I'm really going for what I want. But then you have these moments where you're like, I don't even know what I want, and I don't know what I have to offer the world, and all of the other things that life also is throwing on you besides work, which is a lot usually for everybody.
yeah.
Also influences how you feel about yourself in work. And I was sitting here when we were talking about like how I've been doing in my transition to this job, and I just felt like tears just welling up already. And we luckily had a break just coming anyway.
Yeah.
And I was just feeling like I was really bringing down the podcast.
Yep.
Like, I felt like I should have had these like revolutionary things to say about how much my life has changed since I've started this job. And I don't really have all of those types of things to say because I'm just in a season where things are just hard and I'm just figuring it all out. But anyway, all of that to say, I had a major breakdown.
Yeah. And I think I just know that I have been where you are so many times, and I know that our lovely ladies that listen to the podcast and a few men have been there too. And that I think we finally kind of got to the root of it. Where it's like exactly what you said. I don't even feel like I have anything to offer.
Yeah.
Which led us to this really beautiful discussion about like, because for you, it's been making a change that people don't quite understand, and you're like not exactly sure about it either. You want to say to people, yeah, I graduated from college and now I'm doing this very definitive thing that the world respects.
Yes.
But so many of us aren't. I'm not doing a very definitive thing that the world respects or understands, and that's okay. Or I know a lot of our women have been in a transition where they stay home for, like I was a few years ago, where they stay home for a number of years, and people kind of dismiss that a little bit as like, oh, well, I'm not sure that that's really using all your gifts. Yeah. And they feel like they're in this weird transition of like, I know I'm capable of things, and I know I have this longing to do what matters, to make an impact, to follow my dreams. But most of the time I don't feel like that. And I'm like, yeah, most of the time it just feels like grinding out your life.
Yes.
But one of the things that I told Emmy, and I read a little bit, I'm going to read this little passage from Big Magic, is that it's another way of saying like, you are the gift. You being honest and human in the moment and offering yourself, your vulnerable self, that is the gift. So what you gave us in that hour, Katie and I both were like, it was so beautiful that you were able to just have a moment and have a real human moment where everything feels confusing and you're not sure you have anything to offer and you're questioning everything. Like we're all there sometimes. And so even your moment like that was a gift to us. And I was telling Emmy, like, there have been so many times in my own life where I have questioned that. And one of the things that kind of made me break down was that through all the changes that I've gone through in different jobs and different vocations and different seasons of life, one of the things that Stevie has said to me is, I just love living in your wake. I love living in your light. It's basically like I love being near you. And I told Emmy, I said, honey, you know, it's normal for us to feel like, okay, I don't really have anything to offer, but look what you just offered. Look what you offer to people all the time. Your presence, your vulnerability, your humanness, your doing the work in your own life to really enjoy what you're doing.
Yeah.
And Liz Gilbert says in this book, so I want to read this because I read this earlier when we were having our breakdowns, and I think it's really good. And because it's easy to just focus on the negative.
Yeah.
You know. And she says, I have felt this phenomenon in my own life when I just start complaining about my life, about my job or whatever. I have felt the way self-pity slams the door on my inspiration, making the room feel suddenly cold, small, and empty. That being the case, I took this path. I started telling myself that I enjoyed my work. I proclaimed that I enjoyed every single aspect of my life, of my creative endeavors. The agony, the ecstasy, the success, the failure, the joy, the embarrassment, the dry spells, the grind, the stumble, the confusion, even the stupidity of it all. I dared to say this aloud. I told the universe or anyone who would listen that I was committed to living this life not in order to save the world, not as an act of protest, not to become famous, not to gain entrance into the canon, not to challenge the system, not to prove to my family that I was worthy, not even as a deep therapeutic emotional catharsis, but simply because I liked it. So try saying this. I enjoy my creativity. I enjoy my work. And when you say it, be sure you actually mean it. For one thing, it will freak people out. I believe that enjoying your work with all your heart is the only truly subversive position left to take as a creative person these days. It's such a gangster move because hardly anybody ever dares to speak of the enjoyment aloud for fear of not being taken seriously. So say it. Be the weirdo who dares to enjoy. And I think that I can say by witnessing your life for a long time that you are a person who just lives in the moment, enjoys your life, brings a spark of sunshine to everything you do. And what if that were the gift?
Yes.
Right? And what if we all have that? And we all dare to bring that to our lives, no matter what season we're in, whether we're on a break from working at a job we don't love, homeschooling our kids, in a weird transition, in a funk.
Yeah, it is so interesting because when I listen to that, I think part of the reason that I feel almost guilty, not guilty might not be the right word, but I feel somewhat unsatisfied in what I'm doing is because I enjoy it so much, and part of that feels so wrong in our society.
Yeah.
Like, you really shouldn't enjoy your work is how it feels like it's supposed to be, which is why, yes, doing the medical assistant job, it almost felt more like a real job because I just didn't like it.
Yeah.
And it felt like such a grind, and like I had to like put so much effort into getting there every day because I just didn't even want to go. But this, it's like, oh, I actually really like this. So part of it doesn't even feel like work.
Yes.
So then part of it really doesn't feel like real. And so then it's like my brain convincing me like, you're actually not doing anything.
Yeah.
Because this is too much fun for you to be doing real work. And there is a lot of things that aren't fun about it.
Yes.
Because it is work. But the majority, like, I spend so many more days here.
Yep.
We're playing pickleball. Like, in between what we're doing, we're enjoying it. Like, even the fact that I was able to have a breakdown in the middle of us filming.
There's time to have a breakdown.
There's time to have a breakdown. And, part of that is the guilt. But hearing that, like, nowadays it is so wrong. Like, it's, I don't know what she said, but it's almost like a gangster move.
Yes, to enjoy
your life. But how crazy is that you feel guilty for enjoying what is meant to be work?
And what I was saying too, and I mean, you guys, you just basically have to go reread this book if you've read it before. But I think too, one of the things that we were talking about is when you're not in a season of life where you're willing to be aware and vulnerable, your brain is hungry for something to do, so it will find all kinds of bad things to do. And she makes the example in here of like your mind is like a border collie.
I love it.
And if you don't give that dog work to do, it will eat your couch.
It will tear up your couch.
It will destroy your possessions.
Yes.
And your mind is a little bit like that. If you don't give it something worthy to do, to focus on,
it will destroy
something, usually you.
Yeah.
Right? And this is why there's so much addiction and so much, I think, because we haven't given our minds something to do that matters to us.
Yeah.
Right?
And another thing we were talking about too, and this is obviously a privilege of what this job is, but I've had so much more time to sit and ponder about what I feel and what I think.
Being connected to yourself.
Yeah, I'm way more connected to who I am, which is in the long run so good.
Yeah.
But it kind of freaks you out at first because you're like, why am I always not feeling quite like, I feel like I'm always just like feeling so much. But that is a beautiful thing to be able to do. Yeah. And I don't have to mask it with weed or drinking and I don't mask it. But then in turn, it creates a lot of suffering sometimes
with
like
yourself. Yeah.
You're having to just face yourself every day.
That's why though I think it's so powerful when you find work to do that serves other people. It kind of reminds you, it kind of takes you out of that. You want to stay connected to yourself, but then you also want to turn your efforts back to the neighbor you're called to serve, for the person you do the work for the person, so I think that can be true too, remembering like, why we do what we do, but also having enough time and taking enough time and being brave enough to confront yourself and to be willing to be honest with yourself, to be willing to have moments like we just spent the last hour. I think those kind of moments for most people are rare. And, she says in the book, I firmly believe that we all need to find something to do with our lives that stops us from eating the couch. Whether we make a profession out of it or not, we all need an activity that's beyond the mundane, that takes us out of our established and limiting roles in society. We all need something that helps us forget ourselves for a while, to momentarily forget who we are, forget our age, forget our background, our duties, our failures, to lose ourselves in work that we love. We need something that takes us so far out of ourselves that we forget to eat, forget to pee, forget to mow the lawn, forget to resent our enemies, forget to brood over our insecurities. And there are a lot of things that can do that, but I also think that waking up to the creative life that wants to be lived within us, waking up to work that inspires us, or to something on the side that inspires us, I think it's a powerful thing to do. And I think it can be a force that I know for the women who listen to this podcast, a lot of times we wake up, thank goodness you're having these moments when you're in your 20s. I didn't start having them till I was in my 40s, but thank goodness I listened to them. And that's why we wanted you, I really wanted you to listen. Like, don't try to drown out that voice. Listen to what it has to say so that we can answer it. Yeah. And a lot of the things that came up for you during that, good to know, right? Yeah. That your brain thinks that way. There's versions of ourselves that are critical. There's versions of ourselves that are always wanting to stop us. There's parts of ourselves that are trying to sabotage us. And that true, loving, nurturing, powerful version of you that God made, your true self, let her have the final say.
Yeah, it is. And I'm just I am so thankful, because now on the other side of that like breakdown or whatever, I do feel way more inspired to just keep doing what I'm doing and do more and be more available to take a risk. Or I feel like actually being able to sit down and just like admit how I was feeling did make me feel more empowered to do harder things. Yeah. Because if I can admit that made me feel a certain way, I still can keep going. I can still film this podcast, even though it felt like I was sitting here like, oh, I'm just, Yeah. I think that's part of it too. We talked about like, this is not an always easy thing to sit down and be vulnerable about what you're doing every week. Like, it's not a natural thing to share what you're going through in most moments of life.
Yeah.
And so that can be, I think I put pressure on myself to either be on the side where it's like,
oh, I'm doing great.
I'm doing great, and I'm doing the things that I'm telling you guys to do, and I'm doing the things that mom tells me to do, and I'm doing so great. Or you're on the side where it's like, okay, I know all the things that I need to do, and I'm really not doing any of them.
Yeah.
But,
and not going to the all or nothing, but knowing that for all of us, life is a mix.
It's
of
just
that.
going. And I think that's for me.
Yeah.
The biggest struggle. I'm such a perfectionist, so it's actually more satisfying to me to be all or nothing.
Yes.
Instead of being in this weird, like, middle ground of it all. But
I think real life is in the middle ground, and I think that's comforting to most people that we love and serve, because most people that we love and serve are like, yeah, I'm doing that, sort of.
I'm doing kind of good at it, and I'm sometimes not doing.
And sometimes not.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm ignoring myself, and sometimes, yeah. And I think that's just real life. It's definitely real life for me too. So, I think that's super comforting for the people that we love and serve. And I think in celebration of having 200 podcasts out there, in celebration of you, looking back the work that you've done over the last 6 months and having really a lot of amazing work to show for it that has served a lot of people, that has been a blessing to them. I think it's just fun to pause and celebrate, and it's fun to remind ourselves that, showing up to this life every day, no matter what your job is or your vocation is or your dream is, takes a lot of courage.
It does.
And I'm just
glad. It's worth it.
It's worth it. And I'm glad that to do it with you.
I mean, it is a little ironic that on our 200th episode, I do have a mental breakdown about work, but, we keep on chugging along.
That's exactly right. So I just want to say to everybody out there, we love you so much. We're so thankful that you've been on this journey with us. I am so thankful for how you've loved and welcomed Emme on board. I pretty much can tell by our podcast statistics that you love the episodes with her way more than the solo episodes, which is pretty sweet.
No, I really am, like, all of the personal struggles aside, doing this with you it really is a dream come true. It's so fun. And it's also allowed me to see a part of your life that I wouldn't have had understanding about otherwise.
Yeah.
And it does make me want to work harder. And it does make, we talked a little bit about having a little pressure, but it's good. It is a good feeling to want to do better and to see another side of what you do. And I'm just thankful that you guys want to even hear what I have to say even a little bit. So, hope you can relate. And I'm just so thankful for this house of joy.
I am so thankful for this house of joy too. I'm so thankful for you guys who tune in and listen every week. And I hope that you found a little bit of inspiration for your own journey and for your own dreams and for the things in your life that, the impact that you want to make. If you're having a real human journey then
you're probably doing it right.
You're doing it right.
Yeah.
Makes us feel like we're doing
Always
it wrong.
tell yourself that. No,
That's right. Kidding. You're doing it right. Keep going. Keep sharing. Keep opening yourself up to the growth that's there. I think a lot of times the moments like that we had today together that we didn't get recorded, those are the real moments, and that's what everybody else is having in their own life. And I think that calls us to kind of keep going. It reminds us to listen to that intuition, to pay attention to ourselves, to not try to just gloss over everything, but to allow the hard moments too. So anyways, and don't forget, you guys, that we are doing this amazing giveaway. We're doing an Aura Ring giveaway. We're giving away a membership.
Yes.
A yearly membership to Life Mentoring School. And so if you go over to our House of Joy Instagram, you'll see how to enter that giveaway. There will be a little highlight there for how to enter.
Yes.
And we
so
hope
excited.
We hope that you win.
You feel like a little bit given back too, because there's not enough giveaways that we could do in the world.
I know, to say thank you.
But an Oura ring will maybe make one of you feel like.
That'll help just a little bit. Do we have today? Could we come up with 3 things we're loving between the two of us? Because I'm going to start. You think if there's anything you're loving. But I do want to say that this book, Big Magic, I read it on the plane and I have reread so many sections of it since then. I highly recommend it to our people.
For
By Liz
me,
Gilbert.
one right now is the Genius Life podcast. His name is Max.
I have that on my thing, but I
Lugavere. It's a very broad, like, worldview type of podcast, but it's health and it's cognitive health and it's physical health, and it's a whole lot of stuff. He just interviews different people every week who just have specific things that they are really well versed in, whether they have like a doctorate or whatever. But it's so interesting, and it's a lot of science, health science, a lot of stuff like that. But
Okay. Love
it's
it.
very interesting. So I've been loving that recently.
Okay, and I'm going to finish with number 3 with my eyelashes since we started
We
this
did start.
episode.
You already have had your favorite eyelashes be your favorite things. May I remind you of Christina 42's? But real human hair.
Can I make them my number 3 again?
Yeah, you can. This is your podcast, and
your
you can
world.
really do whatever you want. So,
We're going to link them for you again, you guys, because they're so light.
and you know what? They look exactly like spiders.
They look like spiders.
Not on your
so
eyes.
you could scare people, but they are so light. If you have very short eyelashes
and you can
like
basically
me,
take them off anywhere
you can take them off anywhere.
and throw them on the
Emmy
ground.
has these eyelashes without having these eyelashes. She naturally has
Don't
these
look
eyelashes.
too close if you're watching on YouTube, because I have little paper all over my face from wiping my tears. So
Emmy said, I've cried so much that I have little tiny flakes of tissue all under my eyes. So,
and it's super ironic and funny because the podcast will never know exactly how long that break was and what we went through in that break.
what
But
was it? 2 or 3 hours? Something like that.
It was
Yeah.
crazy, and it was just
That's crazy.
1 second for you.
All right, you guys, we love you so much. Thanks
We
for
love
being on
you.
the journey. See you next time.
Bye. Oh my goodness, everybody. It is Emmy here. I am popping in by myself, audio only, at the end of this podcast because we have long been awaiting, as in 2 days, to announce the 200th episode giveaway winners. And I'm so excited because I have the winners right in front of me right now, and I can't wait to announce them. But I first wanted to say thank you everyone who entered the giveaway and left us reviews and left us speak pipes. It's amazing, and we're so thankful for each one of you. But let's get on to the winners of the giveaway. So we gave away a year free of LMS Life Mentoring School, my mom's program. And the winner for LMS is Abby_Hinz. So that's ABBY_HINZ. You have won the free year of LMS. I'm so excited for you. If you just want to DM the House of Joy podcast account to claim that free year, I will get back to you and let you know what all you need to do to claim your year free. So excited for you. Yay. Okay. And now we have the winner for the Oura Ring. I have an Oura Ring. I was so excited that we were able to give one of these away. It is seriously such a cool thing to have. So I have the winner sitting in front of me, and that is Tabitha_Freeman. Yay, Tabitha. I'm so excited for you. Same thing goes here. If you will DM the House of Joy podcast account to claim your Oura Ring, we will figure out how to get that to you. But I'm so excited that we were able to do this giveaway for you guys. We just love you so much, and I hope you enjoyed our 200th episode. And yeah, I love you guys, and we will see you next week. Bye.